Good evening, fellow Kentuckians. My name is Erica Callahan, and my pronouns are American and Patriot. Before I tell you about my organization, I'd like to start with a request. We got any men out there?
Yeah!
I mean real men.
Yeah!
Godly men.
Yeah!
Men who are willing to stand for truth regardless of the consequences.
Yeah!
We need truth tellers, and I gotta be honest. I'm hearing the truth being loudly and boldly proclaimed by women far more often than by men these days. Why is that?
Because we're mad as hell!
Well, there's a full spectrum of reasons, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, especially this front row here. There's a full spectrum of reasons that we don't need to go into, but I think the most important one is worth recognizing. There's a full-scale denial of truth being perpetuated by the mainstream media and the leftist lunatic fringe. The idea that men and women are the same, genders are fluid and relative, and that men in particular need to sit down and shut up. My question is, why are so many men listening to them? I know, again, I'm preaching to the choir here, but this message must be shared loudly and clearly. I've stood shoulder to shoulder with men who agree with me, but are still content to let women shoulder the burden. Maybe it's because they think we're less likely to be attacked, or less likely to find ourselves unemployed, but I'm here to tell you that is not true. Ask me how I know. The mob came after me when I started a voter integrity organization and challenged the result of the 2019 Kentucky governor's race. The left came after our business and threatened our family when I held the first rally at the Capitol in April of 2020. You know, the one where we interrupted Governor Dictator's nightly 2 minutes hate with our shouts of, "We want to work," and "Open up Kentucky." For about 24 to 48 hours after these events, we were doxxed, threatened, and from the sounds of it on social media, no one was going to come to our business again. Then it stopped. The trolls retreated back to their parents' basements, desperate for a new truth teller to smear. Why do I tell you this? Because despite all the hate, all the vitriol and death wishes, God protected us. Our business grew because the patriots showed up. God blesses obedience. As the supreme author of truth, he blesses those who do his work spreading the truth to others and calling out the lies. If you are a Christ follower here today, the Spirit of the living God lives in you. This is that same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, and it pumps through your veins. So I ask you, what do we have to fear? The God of angel armies stands by ready to protect and defend his own. So let's all freaking stand up.
Yeah!
Men, you were made for this. Don't let us carry the burden of fear of the mob. For fear of the pink hat wearing, raging in their cars on TikTok, man-hating, gender-confused loons. Do you know why they're so angry? Because the God-ordained roles of men and women have been flipped on their dang head. Am I asking you to start burning bridge and flipping tables? Absolutely not. Funny thing about bridge burners and table turners, they don't often get a seat at the table where problems are being solved and plans are being made. We need folks willing to speak up clearly, thoughtfully, logically, and lovingly, but without an ounce of compromise where the truth is concerned.
Yeah!
We need people willing to make the case for liberty, It's in our blood, and it's a very makeable case. So why am I so fired up about all this? Because the truth matters. By a show of hands, is anyone here concerned about election integrity? Me too, and that's why I'm here. Shortly after the 2019 Matt Bevin, Andy Beshear gubernatorial election, a few local citizens were contacted by an outside group that studies election results, and we found some anomalies worth noting. They saw the same disturbing trends in the Ted Cruz Beto O'Rourke race in Texas happen right here in Kentucky. We met with them, we studied their findings, and did our best to alert our Attorney General, Andy Beshear at the time, Secretary of State, Allison Grimes, as well as all of Kentucky media. We immediately held a press conference, and a few days later we held another in the Capitol in front of all of Kentucky media. We were summarily ignored, threatened, and made fun of for presenting preliminary evidence and asking the media as well as our constitutional officers to do their dang jobs. What if I told you that in the 2019 governor's race we surveyed several precincts in Louisville? A total of 7,000 ballots, and 25% of those precincts, the machine tapes, which were once considered to be infallible, were proven wrong. Not only were they wrong, but they yielded evidence that warrants further discovery, as errors should be rare and inconsistent. In this case, the opposite was true. The errors we uncovered were very oddly identical, possibly patterned, and they favored Andy Beshear. At that time, there was little interest in what that could mean or in further auditing an election with more than enough red flags to demand one. I'm here to tell you today, never again. We all lived through the 2020 election, right? Never again. The good news is we did manage to pass a great election reform law in Kentucky during the January session, HB 574. But even the best laws have to be enforced by vigilant citizens. Cheaters never rest. Each and every one of us who wants to honor the sacrifice of millions who died so that we could vote as free people needs to be involved too. We need to amass an army of volunteers to be the eyes and the ears on the ground at the polling places in the primary and general elections in 2022. And good news, Americans for Election Integrity Kentucky has a plan. We've got the training, and now we need you. Our goal is to have 2 AFEI trained volunteers at each and every precinct across Kentucky. All we need you to do as a first step is to go to this site. Please listen closely. AFEIKY.com. AFEIKY.com. That's Americans for Election Integrity Kentucky. Once you get there, you click the volunteer button and learn what simple steps you can take as an American citizen to help keep our elections free and fair. Quite simply, it is the least we can do to honor the sacrifices of the best and bravest among us. Please go to your phones right now and mark our page, AFEIKY.com, AFEIKY.com. I appreciate your time more than you know. Get involved. Stand up. Be brave. Time is running out, and the Republic needs you. Thank you.